Nancy Pelosi's back in town. Wow. Went over to the Congressional Dining Hall to have lunch today. Saw Mark Meadows having his lunch. Went up to him and said, "Children going hungry." Then saw Mitch McConnell in the corner having a bagel. Went up to him and said, "Children going hungry." Saw Steve Mnuchin having a cup of coffee. Went up to him and said, "Children going hungry." Finally sat down, had a prime rib lunch, and then a Democrat walked over her and said, "Nancy, can we talk about stimulus?" To which she said, "Stop it already, children going hungry," and proceeded to eat. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE. I hope you're doing well, and I hope the children of this channel are doing well as also. This is Afternoons LALATE that starts every day at 3:30 with the check, and then goes to Hazard Pay, then FPUC, and then finally Rent. Our 2-hour Afternoons LALATE schedule, part of the 3.5-hour programming schedule every day here on LALATE. If you've not subscribed and become part of this community, certainly do so, and certainly like this video if you so choose. Incredible news about stimulus today as the war of words heated up, and there were incredible words, some of which I'm actually doing as a cold read right now because this stuff is so fresh. It literally came off of the presses minutes ago. And these are comments by Mark Meadows. These are comments by Mitch McConnell. Bernie Sanders had some comments. And additionally, the IRS has some new information for you to ensure that you get a second stimulus check. Let's get to the incredible details. First, Mark Meadows spoke to Fox's Business Channel's Maria Bartiromo this morning. Sorry, I added an L-O at the end. This is not J-Lo. It's... This is not J-Lo. This is not a music video. It's his finance channel. And he spoke to Maria and spoke about stimulus. And he said that he's very excited. He's ready to hit the ground running. And that he says he has broad support among Democrats and Republican members of the Congress. Wow. With a package ready to start, he says there's a broad-scale agreement among Democrats and Republicans on enhanced unemployment benefits, aid to schools, small businesses, and another round of stimulus checks. So to make it even very clear, because there's going to be that one tacky news publication that's going to run a story probably about an hour from now again, that's saying that there's not going to be stimulus checks in this next round. Here's Mark Meadows again saying this morning the package will have stimulus checks in it. He says the stumbling block has been staying local. It's not where the needs are at the moment to do state and local. Rather, we need to get targeted relief out to those people who need it most, which is what we've been reporting on this channel for a few days. I'm not so pessimistic that there's a stumbling block. If we can push back and say, let's come together on what we can agree upon, it'll provide a foundation for us getting there. That's wonderful. So as you see, Meadows' remarks just minutes ago confirm what this channel has been reporting for over a week, that the stimulus bill being introduced this week to the Senate will have FPUC extension, stimulus checks, K-12, and testing. The only thing that's slightly new is that he says there will be aid for small businesses, so maybe there will be a round of PPP in this bill. That's the only thing that's slightly different. Now, I want to say something that is a little bit confusing. This was a Fox interview, and the interview was ran on the Fox News Channel website, and the title to the website is a little bit perplexing. The title to the website, put down your coffee because you're about to choke, is that the title of the article from Fox said stimulus checks have bipartisan support and Mark Meadows expects a deal before election. Before election. He said he expects a deal within 7 days. What do you mean before election? Now, this is where reporting has gotten sort of sloppy lately. I went through the entire interview, and he never said before the election or that we're waiting around to the election. So again, that's an example of very sloppy reporting with a title that doesn't match what Meadows said. All right, let's get to Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell issued a new statement this morning saying that he expects a Senate vote right away, and he's going to pull a vote. Unlike other people, I'm going to actually read his entire press statement to you. I'm not going to do a bridged version. I don't like bridge. I'm not in the Golden Girls yet. Senate Republicans have been trying for months to deliver more bipartisan relief to the American people. In July, we proposed another sweeping package totaling more than $1 trillion. Speakers and Leader Schumer said no. In August, we proposed a narrowing discussions to the most urgent bipartisan support. They blocked that too. Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer said a targeted deal on jobless benefits and the Paycheck Protection Program would be piecemeal. But then Speaker Pelosi came back to pass the most peace bill ever made imaginable, postal service legislation that completely ignored the health, economic, and educational crises facing families. Everything Speaker Pelosi and Schumer does suggests one simple motivation. They do not want to help American families to see any more bipartisan aid before the polls close on President Trump's reelection. They have taken America's health, jobs, and schools hostage for perceived partisan gains. Today, the Senate Republican majority is introducing a new targeted proposal focused on some of the most urgent health care, education, and economic issues. It does not contain every idea our party likes. I'm confident Democrats will feel the same. Yet Republicans believe that many of the serious differences between our two parties should not stand in the way of agreeing where we could agree and making laws that help our nation. We will be moving immediately today to set up a floor vote as soon as this week. Last month, more than 100 Democrats publicly asked Speaker Pelosi to stop stonewalling them and let them vote on targeted COVID-19 relief. She ignored them like her piecemeal postal legislation ignored American families. I will make sure that every Senate Democrat who said they'd like to reach an agreement gets the opportunity to walk the walk. Working families must not suffer more than necessary because Democratic leaders think citizens' pain may help their political fortunes. Congress can, should, and must do more to help. The Senate will vote, and American people will be watching. It's actually very well written, a beautifully well written statement. Whatever you can say about Mitch McConnell, whoever's on his staff that wrote that was really well written. Okay, so it really said, to be frank, this is the first time I'm reading it, so I'm reading this cold. So I'm giving you my unrehearsed, complete gut reaction to hearing it just as you're hearing it right now. First, it is consistent with the message the president said yesterday, which I detail on this channel, which he's setting it up to say, hey, there is relief. We're ready to do relief. The ball's in everyone's court. If you want to block this in the House, it is your peril to choose Democrats. So that is the first thing. Second thing is the vote. He says he's introducing the bill today. So let's see if the bill is introduced. By the time of this broadcast, I'm taping the early afternoon here in Los Angeles. So by the time the video is uploaded, the bill may already be introduced. Third, he says he's calling for a vote right away. So this is also consistent with what Mark and Meadows said, which is the bill would be introduced and approved by both houses of Congress within 7 days. So you would expect the Senate vote on this to be very quick. I would expect by the end of this week. That is also really quite great. Next, he took aim at the things that this channel has taken aims at, which is how dare Carolyn Maloney, who actually Donald Trump called out in yesterday's press conference, the one that I keep on citing, he spent 15 minutes on Carolyn Maloney as well. That was really quite shocking. But he took aim at Carolyn Maloney's standalone bill for postal and said, how dare these people say that they can't do standalone bills but do one for postal, but they don't do it for checks or things like that. That's what's really fascinating. Next, the thing that's very apparent in this statement is it doesn't use specifics. Viewers of this channel are sort of sick of people that don't use specifics, especially when you're about to debut a bill. Why don't you just say what's in the bill? It does use words that are suggestive of what's in the bill. It talks about American families. Well, American families are stimulus checks. There's nothing that gives relief to American families but checks, stimulus checks. It does talk about working people, so that would suggest enhanced unemployment benefits. It does talk about education, which would suggest K to 12 money for K to 12, which I've talked about, and it does talk about healthcare, which would be consistent with testing. So he does use all the words that suggest the 4 items: stimulus checks, FPUC, healthcare, K to 12, and testing. But he doesn't give us any details. Bernie Sanders also came out today and said that Mitch should stop worrying about billionaire campaign contributors and pass the $3 trillion Heroes Relief bill. Respond to the needs of working families and permit a vote on the bailout bill. McConnell said no. Really quite interesting. Another breaking news today. IRS announced late yesterday and early today that it will send letters to about 9 million Americans who don't typically file tax returns, telling them to file a non-filer filing, that thing that I always talk about on this channel. They start to plan to send these letters later this month for people who never filed 2018, 2019 tax returns. These are people who have low income, who are not required to file tax returns. The letters will be written in both English and Spanish. And it's asking those citizens to file non-filers with the IRS website tool by October 15th to claim their payments to receive their stimulus checks. This is actually teed up to the first stimulus check round. But, you know, this is quite interesting. IRS has never said that if you don't file tax returns, go do a non-filer filing. Especially if they've actually said, in the case of people who are on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and railroad benefits, who receive benefits from the federal government, that the federal government knows where you are, that you don't have to do a non-filer filing, and also veterans. So what does this mean? I just need to give you full disclosure that they're now saying if you don't file tax returns, that maybe you should have done that non-filer filing, especially if you didn't get a $1,200 or $500 stimulus check the first time around. Now, let me explain before you rush to do something. If you're an adult dependent and you're on someone else's tax return and did not get a stimulus check, the reason why is because you didn't qualify for a stimulus check. The first time around, adult dependents, anyone 18 years or older who is on someone else's tax return, does not qualify for a stimulus check. So putting that aside, if you qualify for a stimulus check, if you watch my videos and understand you qualify for a stimulus check the first time around and did not get it, go to the IRS's website right now and do the non-filer filing. Also, same thing for your child. If your child didn't get it, go do it right now. With that, there is a lot of stuff going on. Millions who don't normally file a tax return have already registered and received a payment, said IRS Commissioner Charles Reddy in a statement today. We're taking this extra step to help Americans who may not know that they could be eligible for this payment or don't know how to register for a vote. People who aren't required to file a tax return can quickly register on irs.com, irs.gov, and still get the money this year. People who don't use the non-filer filing tool by October 15th can receive their payment next year if they file a tax return. Interested. Okay, so as we sit here this afternoon, what should you be thinking about, and what is the status of all these items? Coming up after this video is hazard pay. After that is FPUC, UI, and LWA, and then finally rent. In those videos, I will be going more into detail about those 3 subject matters. Tune into them as well. And I got to say, I'm getting a lot of questions from viewers about unemployment benefits, and yet that video is not getting much viewership in the last couple days compared to other videos. So please understand, there's a video out there that I do every single day that answers your questions about unemployment benefits. Also, I'm getting a lot of questions about eviction moratoriums, so watch that video as well. And understand, when I record videos, there is new data and new information every day. So don't assume if you watch it one time, you're all up to date. Things literally change They literally change within a 24-hour news cycle. So please watch that video if you're concerned about those issues. But let me give you some broad strokes as we start here today. First, incredible great news about LWA. It is now basically confirmed that every state will pay at least 5 weeks of LWA. It's absolutely incredible. And we're going to see this week if any state is going to pay 7 weeks. The reason why is because Arizona, which is the very first state that applied for LWA, that enhanced unemployment benefit that goes on top of PUA and UI, they have been paid now 6 weeks. They're literally receiving 6 weeks at $300 a week. $1,800, bam, right into their bank account as a lump sum. Congratulations. But the state actually confirms that they may have money for a 7th week. So this week is the week in which residents in Arizona will find out if they're getting a 7th week. It's also really important because we will see in those other earlier states that applied, like Missouri, who was the 3rd state that applied and got approval from FEMA, if they have 7 weeks of funds to disperse. Really incredible news. But the great news is that the latest states, the latest of the latest of states to apply, like California, now report that they have at least 5 weeks of benefits to pay out. This is incredible, great news. Ultimately, you're going to receive the money. You have to be patient. Some of the viewers may have received it before. Another friend of theirs in the same state, they have may received it faster than their neighbor down the street. Things just take time. So stay patient. I mean, imagine 6 weeks at $300, $1,800, 7 weeks potentially at $300, at $2,100. This is totally incredible. Stimulus checks. The stimulus check debate will start arguably as early as possibly today. Mitch McConnell's statement, as you heard minutes ago, says that he's going to introduce the bill today. So that means that everything is on track with what Meadows has represented. Remember, there is a timeline at issue here. First, the bill has to be introduced. That introduction is apparently going to happen today. Then the bill has to be voted on and approved by the by the Senate first, and then it goes to the House, and then it gets signed by the President. Mark Meadows represents that entire path will take 1 week from today. That's his representation. It's not my representation. That is his representation. It's also representation of Mnuchin, McConnell, and a lot of other people. If that's true, that means that the stimulus checks would go out 10 days from IRS after next week. 10 days after next week. Now, what could ultimately happen is a lot of massive changes between now and 7 days from now. So you absolutely have to stay focused with this channel. If you're one of those viewers that say, I'm just not going to, it's too nerve-wracking for me, I just don't want to watch it, I'm just trying to keep it calm, I'm trying to keep it informed, you're with me, don't worry. Second, if you're one of those viewers that simply thinks that nothing's ever going to happen, oh no, yeah, there's an executive order looming in the corner. I detailed that last night. An executive order, and there's more than enough funds to send out stimulus checks. Moreover, if you're one of those naysayers that said the president can't do it, that's not true. That's in the case of Treasury money. The money that has been found and has been allocated and that can be used by executive order is not in Treasury's funds. So this is incredible, great news. Third, if you're wondering when you would get FPUC benefits, well, take that same routing time and really apply it the same way. I would say that after it becomes law, you could see the funds for FPUC enhanced benefits in your account about 7 to 14 days after it becomes law. I mean, there could be upwards of 21 days in some states that have very slow computer systems. Next, I've answered this before and I'm going to say it again. Sometimes, I repeat everything every single day. FPUC extension will not have that $100 threshold. It is highly, highly unlikely that it'll have the $100 threshold. We have not been told yes or no, but it's highly unlikely that it will have that $100 threshold of LWA. Second, it will be retroactive. Third, it will be on top of whatever you're paid for LWA. So this is incredible, great news. So retroactive, won't have the $100 threshold, and will go on top of whatever you have for LWA. These are not etched in stone that this is what's likely going to happen. And finally, it will likely land at around $400 a week. It could go to $300, it could go to $500. We will see perhaps as early as this afternoon. Finally, there is a lot of things to be hopeful for. The things to be hopeful for are that funds are coming. People want to send you funds. A lot of different people and a lot of different groups want to send you the funds. And the comment by Mitch McConnell was absolutely correct, that 100 Democrats wanted to send out this money to you no less than, 3 weeks ago, and that she blocked it. This is a time for you to continue your tweeting, sharing these videos on Twitter, sharing these videos on Facebook, tagging your politicians with the hashtag Seats for Stimulus. If it's really true, if Donald Trump's representations are correct, if Mitch McConnell's representations are correct, that Nancy Pelosi wants to never give you a stimulus, and her Democrats want you to go vote for them in the fall election, having never given you a penny of stimulus, based upon a fake narrative that you have to give a $915 billion bailout to states who don't need $915 billion, who only need $150 billion. Do you think you should vote for them? I don't think so. Seats for Stimulus is the hashtag you should be tweeting, sharing these videos, sharing this video, posting them on Facebook, telling your Facebook groups, don't vote for politicians if they don't give you the stimulus. Remember, they don't need $915 billion. They only need $150 billion. Moody's Analytics and Governors Associations, two nonpartisan organizations, have confirmed it. And the Republican leadership has offered $300 billion, double that. But she doesn't want to take it. What I want you to do is continue to stay with me and stay positive, stay motivated, and stay smiling. Go to the front of the channel and hit the subscribe button. It's a red little button with a little bell next to it. When you're subscribed, I'll see a little red button next to your name. That way I know you're part of this community. And as part of the Purple Power, you have the power to change the situation. Next, like this video. There's a thumb under this video. Hit it so that it shows that you like this video, that it was helpful for you, that it provided you information, that it kept you informed, motivated, and focused. And with that, coming up next is Hazard Pay. As always, stay of LA for more.